Often you'll hear RLT takes sides. That's true, but we take sides for and against behaviors, not for and against people. We are part of the system. We are not above the system. We are not below the system. We are in it with them. Our worth is the same as theirs. We're fellow travelers. We're learning and curious about our clients, and we take sides with relationality, not with individuals. We're talking about therapeutic uses of self. These are not client stances. These are our stances. This is how we intentionally use the way we show up in the work to advance the agenda of the couples therapy or with an individual. In RLT, we are not blank slates, and we do not follow the content that the clients bring around. We have a clear intention of what we want to accomplish. And these therapeutic uses of self are the ways that we accomplish those things. In order to do this well, we need to be seated as best we can be in our practitioner-wise adult, in that practitioner center of health. For now, I'm going to name these therapeutic uses of self. Joining through the truth is probably one of the ones that is most familiar. This is a stance that we use when we are waking up the more grandiose partner to the consequences of their behavior. Remember, they may be not particularly connected to the consequences of their behavior because grandiosity blunts awareness of the impact. So when joining through the truth, this is when we tell the truth with love, also called carefrontation. It's when we join with the best in the other to let them know that we see that they have a loving heart and good intent, but they've been set up to behave in ways that are taking a toll on their relationship. How do we do that? One of the foundational things that allows it to work is detachment from outcome, which is realizing that we are here to invite them to see something different. We are here to walk alongside them as they move toward what they want, to bring our expertise, but it's their life, their choice, and it's not up to us. We detach from the outcome of what happens in the work, and we also detach from the outcome of any particular intervention along the way. We try something. If it works and gets us more of what we're looking for, we stick with it. If it's creating trouble or we're ending up quibbling, we duck under that and we try something else. We're fluid and flexible. Detachment from outcome is a really big topic because it's easier said than done. And one of the reasons it's easier said than done is that obviously we also have a responsibility. Detachment from outcome is not an excuse to shirk our responsibility to show up and do good work. So I have a little index card that I have in front of me that says that the quieter you become, the more you can hear. And that's actually a Ram Dass quote, but it helps me in using this third therapeutic use of self, which is sustaining. RLT practitioners sustain in their efforts. When we have a direction that we want to go, we hold it in our minds and we persist in steering the work in that direction. In order to sustain, we have to be aware of what we want to do, and we have to be very present to seeing what's going on with the couple. I find that talking less actually allows me to sustain more successfully. You can sustain in trying to get an answer to the miracle question. We can sustain in a moment when there's emotion showing up, and we invite the client to sit there, or clients. There's blocking and repositioning. This is when we block one behavior and we invite or reposition the client into another behavior. Often this is helping them not get tripped up. We can think of it as blocking the first consciousness whoosh, the need to protect or deflect, which could be fix or control or withdraw. So we name it, note it, block that, and then reposition by inviting them into a more relational way of being, blocking and repositioning. Now, I've said that we are fluid and flexible, which is true, except when we're not. Sometimes what we do is choose to take a fixed position. We take a position or a belief and we stick there, we hold there. One of the places that we might take a fixed position is around a precondition until your level of depression is addressed. I'm not willing to work on RLT couples therapy. I don't think your system has the capacity to get better until the depression is addressed. It could be another precondition, substance misuse. It could be suicidal risk. Sometimes I've taken a fixed position and really dug my heels in to the point that a client called me Kate, you're a dog with a bone. And I was taking a fixed position around, now let me help you listen to her. And I blocked and repositioned over and over all of the ways that this man was having a hard time listening to his wife. Amplification is another important therapeutic use of self. Amplification can be of the misery in phase one. If we're looking for leverage, oh my gosh, that sounds lonely. This has been how long has this been going on? I notice when I'm saying that there's a lot of emotion in my voice. I was never a drama kid. So when Terry talks about the dramatics and the theatricality of it all, there's a part of me that's like, whoa, when it is for me heartfelt and true, like that sounds lonely, I am letting them know, not just with my words, but with my voice and with my energy, that it sounds awful. So we can amplify misery, we can amplify progress. There's a specific kind of amplification that Terry has taught about in the past called demarcation. He uses, sometimes he calls it not so humble phrase, before Terry and after Terry. Before Terry, things were X, and after Terry, things are Y. It's a version of demarcating between the old and the new. You don't need to say before Kate or after Kate. You can say the new Suzanne knows how to do better. The old Suzanne wasn't equipped. So we're also amplifying and holding them as they ought to be, as what's possible. We're holding that positive vision for what can happen. We're fellow travelers. We use judicious self-disclosure. This means that we share stories about our own relational recovery when it's in the service of the client. This means things that are in the past or small enough examples that they're not emotionally intense for us now. Any self-disclosure that we make is in the service of the client's work and not our own needs. We construct empowering reframes. You weren't a bad kid. You were the truth teller. Or you're not a selfish person. You are a rank beginner at learning to be more generous. There's something called skill transference. This is when we encourage, it's almost more like a tool or a skill, but we let people know, we know you can do this. How do you contain every thought that crosses your mind when you're in a meeting at work and somehow at home you can't manage? I have faith that you can learn to use a containing boundary. You can do it here. You can do it here. You can be warm and loving with the children. Do you have a place in you that's warm and loving toward this person who's working hard to show up in better ways? We use, as therapists, we might teach brokering and negotiation, but we're always modeling it. When we contract about the pass rule, when we contract to make good use of the time, I may interrupt you. Is that okay with you? We contract around how we work with privacy, and we get agreements along the way. Now, we are doing this to do good work with the couples, but we're also modeling what it's like to be relational. Let's come to an agreement here. Brokering and negotiation is how can we work this out for both of us? It's different than compromising and just like meeting in the middle. It's more active than that. We use a coaching and teaching stance. We are right alongside our clients, and there is a good bit of teaching that happens. How do we do this? One of the main ways we do this is that we really stay seated, that we are part of the system. We are not above the system. We are not below the system. We are in it with them. Our worth is the same as theirs. We're fellow travelers. We're learning and curious about our clients, and we take sides with relationality, not with individuals. Often you'll hear RLT takes sides. That's true, but we take sides for and against behaviors, not for and against people. This is part of the journey through the truth, separating the behaviors from the people. And we do our best to be confident in what relationality looks like without getting too rigid about anything. We're detached from whether or not the clients choose to change, whether or not the relationship continues, whether or not a latent partner decides to use his voice and stand up to the more blatant partner. This is not up to us. It's up to them. With luck, we are right along beside them.